All right, happy Saturday, folks. So let's talk about two things. One, the typical Martin sound, and what is it, and why do those guitars or these guitars sound so good, at least in my mind, and stuff like that. So, obviously, Martin has a very, very rich history on the headstock of all of their guitars, I believe, or most of them, if they're made in Nazareth, say established 1833. So that alone historically tells you there's a beautiful legacy in terms of craftsmanship. Just like all these new guitars that you see, whether it's Eastman's, whether it's Santa Cruz, Collings, Froggy Bottoms, all of those high-end guitars that some of the videos that I've done or that I've been talking about this week, they all come back to this kind of stuff, which is some form of a Martin. Okay, that's the sound that is the template, and then they try to kind of build on that from that perspective. So to me, the typical Martin sound is a very, very warm sound, laden with really good bass without being too booming if it's done right. And I've got here two, I believe, are representative Martin sounds. Obviously, the classic of them all to me is the whole debate about D28 or D18. So this is a D18, a beautiful one, by the way. It's not antique or anything like that. And both of these guitars have just recently been set up. And if it sounds a little chimey, that's because the strings are new. This is strung with 13s. And yes, I am finger picking 13s. If you get the thing set up properly, you can do that. So these are, they're not Diodarius. They are Ernie Balls, 13 through 56, right? Typical kind of like Morton sound. So tried a couple of things already on this, and this is a new D18. So this is probably the worst it's going to sound, which is kind of amazing. Let's just put it that way. So it hasn't fully aged. It's, I believe, a 2023 model, and I bought this new. It's one of the few new guitars I've bought new. Let's just put it that way. And I bought it primarily because of this beautiful ebony stripe on that. So a little bit more visual than just sonic, but that was part of the reason. So to me, like I said, the typical Martin sound is just kind of rich. You kind of know it when you hear it. When I start hearing some of these things like the Bourgeois, the Santa Cruz, and just the whole discussions of overtones, an overtone, the way I can define it, is something like if I'm playing a note, it's not just that note, it's some other textures and colors. And Martins, at least for me, are not really known for overtones. They're known for being very, very focused, a little bit on the bass driven, some clarity. So this is a mahogany dreadnought, and because of that, I think you get a little bit more detail and clarity than you probably would on a rosewood. So that to me is the primary thing. Yeah, as far as the styles of music you can play on these things, clearly you can play jazz off of this. You can play classic. You can play anything off of anything, to be honest with you. I'm not using a pick, so a lot of people play this stuff with a pick, and they play, more or less bluegrass, strumming, lots of bass. I got. Okay, so, and again, you get a lot of good bass, and it's very, very pronounced. But on this guitar, you get some clarity, and yeah, you do get a little bit of an overtone, even though, like I said before, I don't think Mortons are known for overtones. So that's this, and I like it because, like, I owned a D18 years ago. I liked it a lot, and I guess the naysayers told me that, hey, you shouldn't really be playing a big-bodied guitar because you play mostly fingerstyle. You need something that's a little bit smaller, like a double O, triple O, single O, or something like that. Just not that big old thing. And I've played around with a lot of like Martin guitars over the years, and to me, this has always been one of my favorite sizes, which is a double O. That's essentially what the CEO7 is, and this too is mahogany, and it's obviously easier to get along. say it's easier to get around than a dreadnought. And this has beautiful clarity because it's got an Alaskan spruce top on it, and the size is just beautiful from that perspective. Both of these guitars have ebony fretboards, and both of the necks on these are 1 3/4, so very, very easy to get around from a fingerstyle perspective. And it does get the Martin sound. I've AV'd this thing against like Eric Clapton's, Triple O's, OMs, and yeah, it's got that distinctive Martin sound. Although it is a play off of a Gibson L00, I believe. I think when Chris Martin kind of voiced this, it's kind of like a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Wanted to say, hey, if I built a Gibson, how would I build it? And so this is basically a takeoff of that. Yeah, so there you have it. 2 guitars that are representative to me in my ears of the Martin sound. And yeah, there are many examples of that. And so remember, when you're buying these really, 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 really high-end guitars, whether they're Santa Cruz, Collings, Froggy Bottoms, you name it, that it all started with the Martin. All right, thank you for watching. And as usual, practice, practice, and practice some more.